Hi guys, I wanted to give a quick update on the bucket filter. You'll probably notice this is a different color than the last time, and while I was moving one of my breeder tanks up here, I accidentally hit this too hard with the ladder and it cracked the bucket. So I went ahead and grabbed another one just so that I don't have this sitting too long without it. I want to address a couple of the things that have come up as questions in the comments, things that people have asked me in person, just so that answers to these are out here. One of the big problems that people frequently report with these kinds of filters is leaking. And part of why I use these screw-in fittings here is that you can really get this tight enough that you don't have to worry about leaks the way that you do with a uniseal. The other thing that's going to leak for you is going to be this gasket here where the lid closes. So if you take some Vaseline and you run it along this indented edge here and you run it along the inside of this, you'll get a much better seal on this. So you don't have to worry about it leaking that way. That lets you get a tighter seal, it makes it easier to take off and put back on, and it holds water. If you're worried about leaks and you want to test this ahead of time when you're making this, when you make this pipe here, before you add this piece on, just leave about 6 feet of extra stuff up here and cap this one off if you're able to. And fill that pipe completely, and the 6 feet of extra stuff will be way more water pressure than the standing water pressure of your tank, and you can actually use that to check for leaks. That's the same kind of thing they do with house plumbing. You just do a 6-foot elevated thing, fill it with water, and just the downward pressure of the water is enough to spring leaks. So it's probably worth doing that if you're worried about leaks. Obviously, I'm not, since I've got concrete here, but you know, if you've got a carpeted house or something, do that outside, let it sit for about a day, and then come back and check it to make sure that none of your joints are leaking, to make sure that your lid is good, to make sure you don't have any leaks under here. And that way you don't have any questions about whether it's good or not. If it's going to hold with 6 feet of standing water above the bucket, it's going to hold while you're running a tank because it's going to be under a vacuum, because your pump is on your outlet. It's sucking water. There's not going to be pressure in here that's forcing it out. But that way you know if there's a power failure, you're not going to end up with a flooded house. The other place that you're likely to get a leak is here, where you screw it into your actual pump. A lot of people will make the mistake of just hand tightening this, and you really want to do it as tight as you can possibly do by hand, and then a full rotation around. It's easy for me to check because I've got this on here, so I start upright, rotate it all the way around again until it's upright again, and that way the chance of this leaking is very, very low. Filling it after maintenance. What's the best way to do that without making a giant mess? So, for maintenance, what I generally do is I will turn these off, and I will leave the pump open and running, and I will slowly unscrew this, and I'll then use the pump to drain the bucket. Then I'll flip that off over there, and I'll turn the pump off. For refilling it, I don't have these internal fittings glued in, so I just take this shorter one, and I rotate it so that it is above water level here. And then when I open these valves, water can rush in, air can come out that. Once it equalizes, I go ahead and flip it back down again, flip the pump on, and we're good to go. Another question I get pretty frequently is noise. How noisy is it? I can say that of the noise that is here, that easily 99% of that is my air pump. I'm probably going to be putting the air pump in a box because it's noisier than I like. I really don't like it. I can't hear this canister over all of the other things that I've got going on in here. You know, I can hear this hob over here, I can hear the hobs over there, I can hear the canister in here as it trickles over the surface, but I can't hear this one at all, just like I can't hear this one. I know a lot of people have bubble noise and stuff, but that's really not an issue as long as your intakes are below water level and they're pointed down so there's no way for air to come in. And the last question I tend to get is, how happy are you overall with this? And I've got to say, not terribly. I'm not a fan of canister filters. They are a monstrous pain to clean. They usually have to be pulled apart completely in order to clean anything out. So I'm working on something that's a much better design to this, that's kind of a hybrid canister sump. It's going to have lots of smaller canisters that use fluidized media rather than just layers of filter media. I should hopefully have that done by next weekend. I'm hoping that I'll have it up and running to show you then. Till then, if you guys have any other questions about anything, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them in the comments, or if I get enough questions about things, I'll make another video response. Thanks.